Well, our frontline healthcare workers, of course, deeply impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. And this all happens to coincide with the Year of the Nurse. Amy Deagle, Chief Nursing Officer and International Network of Nurse Leaders, joins us. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. I asked you if it was early, but then I realized with the nursing shifts, this is probably just a regular day for you. Now, let's jump right into this. A point that you made that I found really interesting is nurses typically tend to say, oh, I'm just a nurse. So this has actually resulted in a special day for you guys.
Absolutely. So, back in October, we hosted the Not Just a Nurse Day to really showcase nurses' contributions to the world and how we make a difference in not only our health systems and our hospitals, but also our communities. And World Health Organization designated 2020 as Year of the Nurse and the Midwife. And it was a way to highlight nurses' critical roles in improving health outcomes, as well as advocate for increased improvements in funding for nurses across the globe. And we thought we would be doing celebrations and recognizing each other. But here we are in the middle of a global pandemic. And, people are on their balconies, they're cheering for nurses. There's never been such a public recognition and outpouring of love and support for nurses. And it is Year of the Nurse and the Midwife, just not the way we thought we would be celebrating it.
Yeah, nothing any of us could have predicted, Amy. Quickly now, before we go into our next point, why do you think so many nurses do have this mentality? Why are they saying just a nurse?
It's it may have some things to do with us being a heavily female predominant industry. We're just moms, we're just teachers, we put that in front of a lot of things, and it downplays our contributions, it downplays our importance. And I think that, people are now recognizing how vital nurses are, and we should really be proud of the contributions that we make, and we should never ever say that we are just a nurse again.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Amy, nurse is really in the spotlight more than ever. You mentioned all the outpouring of support. So what have you heard, though, from other nurses about working amidst a global pandemic?
There is fear, obviously, that they are going to be infected themselves or bring something home to their families. In Alberta, we're really fortunate. We've had a really positive government and Alberta Health Services response, making sure that our healthcare workers are protected. So what we're seeing is a lot of camaraderie and a lot of courage and bravery in, not only nurses, but our physicians, our healthcare workers, the cleaners, everybody is really join the fight against COVID.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the Shift Change podcast. This is a pretty exciting project that you have on the go. Tell me about the podcast and then about the special episode that was taped just this week.
Awesome. Yeah. So the Shift Change podcast was started as a way to really amplify the voice of nursing. We know that nurses aren't in the media as much as physicians, and we have a huge population of nurses, but we don't have a voice at a lot of those tables. People don't really know what's happening within the profession. And so the podcast was started as a way to really get nurses sharing their stories, sharing their contributions, and really just come together in an act of solidarity. And the Shift Change podcast this week released an episode of nurses from across the world, including Howard Caton, who is the International Council of Nurses CEO, sharing messages of inspiration and motivation for fellow nurses that are in this fight against COVID from all over the world.
Wow, exciting stuff. So something people will definitely have to look up. Thank you for joining us, Amy, and from all of us here at CTV, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you so much.